Cameroon's 2025 presidential election is one of the most crowded in recent memory. 12 candidates are officially in the race. 11 of them belong to the opposition, and one is the incumbent president, Paul Biya, who has been in power for more than 43 years, as we know. He's over 92. Since the Electoral Commission published the list, Cameroonians have been calling for just one thing: a coalition. The idea sounds very simple. Opposition leaders should join forces and present a single candidate strong enough to challenge the ruling party. But what does a coalition candidate really mean, and why has it been hard to achieve this objective? In politics, a coalition is an agreement between different parties or leaders to work together for a shared purpose. In an election, it is usually about avoiding the division of votes. If 11 opposition candidates go their separate ways, each gathering a small share of support, the ruling party's path to victory becomes easier, even if most Cameroonians really want change, as what we have been seeing across social media and generally in Cameroon. So coalition comes in different forms. Sometimes they are built before an election, when parties agree to rally behind a single flag bearer. That is called an electoral coalition. Other times they are formed after an election, when no one party has enough control to govern alone, and so they decide to share ministries and decision making. We've seen that in some parts of Africa and the world. So that is called a governing coalition. For Cameroon today, the real demand is for an electoral coalition. People want opposition unity before election day, not after the election. Because if Biya and the CPDM win, we never know, then a governing coalition is useless, as the few people who have been running the country will continue. That will mean additional 7 years, and it will mean that President Paul Biya and the CPDM will have been in power for 50 years and counting, and more even. So some opposition groups have been meeting in recent weeks claiming that they want to form a coalition. They met in Fumban in the West region and then in Yaoundé, yet those meetings have not produced a single unified candidate. At the same time, the Social Democratic Front, one of Cameroon's oldest opposition parties, has chosen not to participate in these discussions at all. We have been looking at reactions across different social media platforms, and that decision has angered so many citizens. So many Cameroonians are not happy about it, who accuse the SDF of undermining the very unity that Cameroonians are asking for. The party, on the other hand, has argued that it wants a coalition, but it must be genuine. Genuine is the key word. When I interviewed Honorable Joshua Osei on Road to A2D, that was a few weeks back, he made it very clear that his party says it does not want to engage in what is considered empty talks or premature arrangements. But for ordinary Cameroonians watching from outside, the difference hardly really matters. So the key issue here is whether many are being unfair to the parties that have not participated in the coalition talks. Are there, or are they, any different from those who talk but never really agree? What happened to those who met in Fumban and then did not come up with a consensus candidate? What's the difference? So whether a party refuses to enter coalition talks or joins but never compromises, the result is still the same: no coalition and no stronger opposition. So we don't have a coalition candidate. Now, a twist that few people expected came this year. Isaa Tchiroma Bakari, he has served the government for several decades as minister under President Paul Biya and defended the government through some of the most difficult moments for Cameroonians. He announced in June that he was resigning from the government of President Paul Biya. He explained that public interest had been broken and declared that he would run for president under his party, the FSNC. That move immediately changed the conversation. A man once seen as a loyal ally of President Paul Biya was now presenting himself as an opponent. But only a few weeks later, a small group of political parties known as the Union of Coalition, none of them are on the ballot. They issued a communique declaring Isaa Tchiroma Bakari as the consensus candidate of the opposition coalition. This announcement, confirmed by Isaa Tchiroma Bakari himself and his team, has created a lot of buzz, a lot of reactions across social media. To many Cameroonians, this sounded a little bit confusing. How can a man who has not secured the backing of the 10 active opposition candidates already in the race claim to be the consensus candidate? Consensus in politics actually means broad agreement. A consensus candidate is someone most of the active contenders are rallying behind, even if not everyone is perfectly satisfied. It requires sacrifice. Other candidates must step aside to redirect their supporters behind this particular consensus candidate, which is not the case of Cameroon. So the public must be able to see that the opposition is truly speaking with one voice when it comes to a consensus candidate. At this moment, that is not the case. Isaa Tchiroma Bakari has received endorsements from smaller figures and parties as well, but the 10 men and woman, the one woman still on the ballot, have not united behind him. That means that his title as consensus candidate is for now more symbolic than real. Even if a major opposition leader such as Professor Maurice Kamto were to endorse him, that will certainly change perceptions, but it will not by itself make him a consensus candidate. Many people have been saying that they wanted a model from Professor Maurice Kamto, like, is it called in English, an order, like an order from Professor Maurice Kamto to know their next plan of action, who to rally behind, who to support. So, but Professor Maurice Kamto has not openly stated who he has been meeting with. Barrister Cameroon has met with Bello Bakari and other opposition party members, but it's not clearly stated who he is standing behind so far. So consensus cannot be declared by one man's approval. It requires multiple endorsements from across the spectrum, like the Social Democratic Front, the PCRN of Cabral Libi, the UDC of Madame Damjoya, the Univer Party of Barrister Cameroon and others. We know Hiram, we know Jack Boahakbe, we know Pierre Kwemo, we know all the various opposition candidates that are vying for post of president. Now, Cameroonians' frustration comes from experience. Over the years, too many opposition party leaders have spoken about unity, but have failed to put aside their egos and ambitions. Some engage in long meetings that lead to nowhere, while others stand aloof, insisting that they cannot compromise. In the end, the opposition remains fragmented and the ruling party benefits from that weakness. Okay, something happened this week. We heard the deputy minister at the Ministry of Justice, Minister Jean de Diomom, who was clearly very worried about a possibility of opposition coalition in Cameroon. He was saying that should the candidates in the Grand Nord unite, I'm talking about the NUDP of Bello Bakari and FSNC of Isaa Tchiroma Bakari, were to come together, that would be a huge blow on the ruling CPDM party, because it would give that opportunity for the opposition to emerge. That for the first time, the CPDM party is on its toes. They are worried about what could potentially happen should the northern candidates unite, should the opposition in Cameroon unite. It was so frank. I mean, this is a minister who was first of all also in the opposition, but joined the government, and he has vowed that he will die defending Paul Biya. But he made it very, very clear that even the ruling party is now worried. So the division within the ranks of the opposition means victory for the CPDM. So division without a consensus candidate, because we are talking about a consensus candidate without the UNDP. We are still worried what could be the end game here. Now, so when Cameroonians hear that Isaa Tchiroma Bakari, a man with deep ties with President Paul Biya, has suddenly become the consensus candidate, they meet the claim with suspicion. They ask themselves, is this genuine opposition unity or simply political theater designed to unite or to confuse the electorate. Now, the lesson here is simple. A coalition is not just talk, and a consensus candidate is not a title you can claim on paper. Both require real sacrifice, real compromise, and above all, broad acceptance from the majority of opposition leaders and the supporters. Until that happens, declarations of consensus candidate remains just that declarations. Cameroonians want unity, but they also know that unity has to be proven through action, not slogans. As the popular saying goes, coalition no be talk, coalition action. Or people want better action. Stay informed, demand unity, but also vote wisely. We are here to bring you all the latest updates, to give you the best analysis that you can ever have. We go beyond the news, because people will come in the comment section and say, oh, focus on the news. We are not just news givers. We also do analysis on things that are happening with regards to the election, because people just talk about coalition, consensus candidate, coalition, opposition. What does it really mean? People need to understand where it stands, where they stand, and what the next steps are. So far, we continue to monitor the situation on the ground. So I go try for talk small and for pidgin, because for TT, they take away most of our video. Them when we put them, they take them out. We don't know why. Sometimes they talk say no be our own, but when I think we self will produce them. So I don't know why they try for I don't know, because the last time when I be do some video explain them from English, they be still remove this thing. So they send most of our people then say me then follow me then come for YT. We will go put the name for comment section. So I just wanted to find out from you Cameroonians, what do you think about opposition coalition? What are your thoughts? And what do you expect? What are your expectations? What do you want to see? Let us continue the conversation here on social media to see. Let us continue the conversation here on social media to see what the future holds. 12th of October is just in few weeks. Thank you for watching.